This Dark Wolf series podcast is brought to you by Bravo Company Manufacturing.
Eyes and ears in position.
And your accent confusing?
The energy of Tal is so quick and light and confident. Her brain is how she survives.
Let's jump in just right from the beginning. Like, when did you first hear about Dark Wolf? How did you get the scenes? Learn a little bit about what it was, who put it in front of you, like that sort of thing. How did that all come up?
So I went through the old school casting process of being like receiving an audition. It's always, you don't want to get too excited. You don't want to start fantasize about it because you know the competition is so hard. And receiving that casting, I was like, oh, fine, there's no way. Like all these big names, and then I read the scenes, and then I read Tal, and I was like, oh, I feel like I know this girl. I feel like I know this girl. Let me just play with it. And I did, it was so short to film because I was just like, I think I know her. And anyways, I don't want to get all like in my mind about it. Let me do what I think intuitively. And I forgot about it. And then I put it aside. When it's such a big project, you're like, I'm probably not gonna hear back, put it aside. And then 2 weeks after, I got an email back like they want to see you again. I'm like, what? Are you sure? Are you sure? And then I started fantasizing and being like, oh, this is mine. This is mine. I need this to be mine. And then I saw the first season of Terminal List because I told myself I wouldn't see it to not get too excited about it before anything starts being like actual. And then I saw it. It was before my call back, and I was like, okay, now I need it even more because everything is great about this. So, and then I discovered who the cast were because they started doing casting announcement, and I was just praying for it to be mine. But here we are. I got it.
I totally remember your scene, and I forget if there were two or just one. I know for one it was when Rafe and Ben walk in, and you have that
Yeah,
conversation with them from behind the desk, and
the
yeah.
opening scene.
And let the Navy know be playing with us for a minute.
Your accent. Israeli?
And your accent confusing?
Your accent confusing.
Hmm.
Like
Hmm. Hmm.
it was
Hmm.
so great, and there was never anyone else for this part. You know, all knew right away.
Thank you.
And I love that scene so much. But I forget you did that one. Was there another one that you read as
I
well?
did the one with Mo.
That's what I thought. Okay, yeah.
Which is funny because the one with Mo, I was talking about it with in an interview not long ago, is I ended up doing it so differently on set than I did in casting because what Mo gave me was so special that it was so interesting to just be present with him. And that's funny about casting. Sometimes you have an idea what you think a scene is going to be like, but then you have the actor in front of you, and to be present with them is sometimes really just enough.
What is it?
After your work today, now his daughter's phone stayed in the hotel. But then I picked her up on CCTV at the train station.
And Dar is so great that I mean it's really he makes it easy. He makes the job easy. But yeah, that was my second scene that I did for the audition.
Got it. And when you did that scene for real, I think that's the one where you find out. Oh, I think it's where you find out the most about both of your characters in that
Hmm. Hmm.
scene, I think. And it's such a cool one because you give Mo the opportunity to let the audience know a little bit more about him and his backstory and his heart and
Yeah,
soul, and yours as well.
yeah.
That you're what you're willing to do, and for people rather than the mission. And it's just so cool. It's just so awesome. That's a great.
That's what's so great in my opinion, in Dark Wolf is that you have so much of these beats that you get to actually get attached to the characters where they become the center of it. It's so character driven, their story, their like their moral compass, their history, where they come from. Like it's all so important within all of the action thriller, like espionage thriller sections, like the actual what breathes the most, I feel like, is the characters and the relationships. So I think that's what's so special about Dark Wolf, really. So it's scenes like that that make it extra special.
Yeah, that is amazing. And what had you done before leading up to this that prepared you? Because when you stepped on set, and that I saw you the first day that I got to Budapest, and I went over there. It was a scene where you had the hoodie, the thing going in. So we filmed it out of, for
Mhm.
those listening. We filmed this thing
Mhm.
out of order. I want to ask you about that.
Yeah.
But what was it like I guess what had you done before this, and then what was it like to show up on set? Because you seemed like you were so seasoned, and you such
Fake
a
it till you
pro.
make it. That's what I say.
It's
It's
acting. It's
literally fake it
acting.
till it's acting. It's all acting. No, first of all, I will say I love people. I mean, that's one of the reasons I do this job. I love people. So from the moment I step on set and I feel comfortable because the people are so great, it's easy to feel comfortable. Like it's just all just a cycle of that. So I might have looked seasoned just because the people around me made me feel comfortable and then I felt comfortable and then it just domino effects throughout the whole thing. Of course, my first day was so extremely intimidating. We'll go back to that because that's interesting. But after that, when I understood like what these actors that were to me intimidating at first were actually made of on a human level, everything else was just, made it all so such a warm home environment on set. And whether it's the actors, the producers, you guys, and because you hear it all the time, and I know you hear it all the time, but it's really, really a special set. I don't have a lot. I mean, yeah, I do have a lot of sets to compare to, but this is the first big thing I do where I have such a part in it. I did before. I'm always saying like I've been living off of acting for 4 years now. But living off of acting means a little bit surviving off of acting, and then the difference is when you actually start making a career out of it, making choices and taking on bigger jobs, and that's my first bigger job. Before that, I had small roles in big productions which the good thing about those is that they kind of like got me used to like what a big set looks like. So I know who does what. I mean, I don't know always who does what because there's so many people, but approximately like who does what a set breathes like, or what a big set breathes like, how to like exist within that. So that's what these smaller roles in big productions taught me. So I did a bit of that, like one or two big production small roles, but and just some theater and a bunch of shorts, just like whatever to get the instrument going to make you ready for moments like these. Because even if you don't always get to do that, hopefully from now on I will, but you just always have to get the machine working, whether it's to know how to interact with people, how to get in these emotional, intense roles, and whether it's on stage in a short film, like I've always made sure I was dynamic and I was like doing something, always, always doing. But this was my first one. This was my first big one. And yeah, I felt comfortable only thanks to the people for sure.
Oh, that's so amazing. And what was it like to show
Yeah.
up then on set? So you get there, you've read not all the scripts because they weren't all done. I know that the final episode was not done because that's mine and
Yeah.
Dave DiGilio's.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what did they give you ahead of time, like script wise, and what did you know about Tall
I
going into this?
think I remember reading the scripts in my hotel room. So I think I was doing fittings. And then I came a little earlier. They brought me like 2 weeks earlier, and then I was working on the scripts then. So I think by the time I got to set, I might have been I read all the way through episode 5, I believe. Yeah, because I already knew about my fight scene. Yeah, I already knew about the before and after. Which that in itself was a pinch me moment to read that fight scene.
You didn't know it was coming up to that point. You had no heads up. Oh wow,
No.
that's awesome.
Not only no heads up, but you don't understand the kind of kid I was, Jack. I grew up watching action I grew up watching Alias 24. I was like 8 years old. With my mom, we would watch one episode every night. That was like the rule. Sometimes I would squeeze in another one. But I was obsessed, and it was so not for my age range. Absolutely not. But I was so like amazed by all of that. And I couldn't really fully like differentiate between fiction and reality, but it was just so big and amazing and impressive. And I would reenact fight scenes in my room. I was like, can I also do that? And I was like, I would slap myself on the, and I was like trying to choke and see if I could like live that. So I would do that at a very, very young age. So when I read the script, I was like, oh. I've been preparing for this moment my entire life without knowing, you know? I was like, literally, I told Dave that. I was like, you don't understand what a scene like that is for me. It's, on the one hand, so challenging, because it really is, and it really was. And on the other, I was like, oh, this is what I've been waiting for. Like, roll up my sleeves, I'm ready, you know? So yeah, that was a crazy moment reading the script.
Oh, that is so fantastic. I want to get to that fight scene in a bit because it's one of, I mean, it is, I think it's the best fight scene in the whole show. But we'll get to some of the details on that in a second. But so when you, oh, also interesting that you mentioned Alias and 24, and a lot of people forget this, but both of those shows came out in the fall of 2001. So right after September 11th, there were three spy type shows
Oh.
that came out that fall. And I remember reading about it in like an Entertainment Weekly or something like that. I was in Japan in the SEAL teams, and so it was right before September 11th, maybe a week or so before, and I picked up a Entertainment Weekly or a People or something like that that was just lying around the barracks. Picked it up, and it talked about three new shows coming out, and they were all had this intelligence, espionage, spy type of a focus. And one was Alias, one was 24, and then the other one was a show on ABC, CBS, something like that. One of those networks that didn't last more than a season. I don't think. Maybe it was called The Agency or something. Anyway, it didn't
Mm,
last more than a season. But those two,
yeah.
obviously, Alias and 24 became iconic.
I think Tom worked on both, he told
Oh, is that
me.
right? Oh, nice. I
I
didn't know
think
that.
so. Because I told him about me, like, because we were working together on the fight scenes. I told him about my 8 years old being like freaking out right now. And he was like, oh, I worked on both of these, which makes me think you're so much younger. And I was like, well, yeah.
Seriously, I don't even think you might not even been born then, but they came out. But
Yeah.
of course, our one of our
Yeah.
show coordinators, who is awesome, who gave me this hat.
Mhm.
But yeah. So what you didn't know anybody on set until you actually arrived there?
No one. I knew no one. And also, I didn't know the full cast until very earlier, just a week before I flew to fittings and yeah, to fittings. So I didn't know who would be cast as Elisa. I discovered who was cast as Elisa when there was a casting announcement on Deadline, with Robert Wisdom, my face on it, and Ronali. And mind you, I grew up on Ronali. So I knew about Elisa being my mentor, but I was like, who's gonna get cast as Elisa? And then I discovered it was Ronali, and that was another pinch me moment because I was like, that's who I'm gonna get to work with. Like that's insane. I literally grew up on her. Like I grew up watching her on the TV when I was a kid, and she's been in the industry. She's been strong in the industry now for like 20 plus years in Israel. So that was also crazy and amazing, but right away we had such a amazing bond that it felt like there was another person that I knew on set. You know what I mean? Even though we didn't know each other in fittings, I got to know her, and then from there it felt like more comfortable because there's another person I know now, you know? Um, but yeah, that I didn't apart from people I discovered and became family very quickly because that's how I feel about almost the entire cast. I knew nobody, yeah.
Yeah, oh, incredible. And so what was it like your first day then? Did you have a scene your first day, or do you show up and watch somebody else's scene? What's
I
that like?
had my first day I was first of all, my first day I was waiting in my trailer for 8 hours, so nervous, literally, my entire body shaking.
That's a long time to be waiting in your trailer.
And then they came up to me and they're like, "You're not today." And I was like,
Oh,
"Okay."
oh
And
no.
I had been like waiting because first day on something like that, I was just praying to not get fired, praying for nobody to like regret they booked me. So you're like, ugh. And then you're like, "You're not today, you're gonna be tomorrow." And then the day after, I ended up being on second unit and not first unit, and I was with Max. It was a perfect like kind of
Mm.
transition because it was smaller. It was second unit. I was with Max. I had just a few little tiny scenes in the car when there was like the first operation with the club and everything. When she's in the van, that was the first.
Okay. Eyes and ears in position.
But my first day with first unit was the opening of Tal's opening scene where you see her for the first time. And so that was intimidating because I had not met Taylor and Tom prior to that, and I'd actually like talked to them for the first time really on the set on that day.
It's okay, mommy. You get it back when you're done. Like prison.
And you just want to prove yourself, but also it's so hard because the energy of Tal is so quick and light and confident, and it's everything that I'm not feeling right now because I'm just stressed and freaking out and want to prove myself. So I had to like really fight to like keep the lightness and the youth of and that she has and that she brings in that scene and that she makes fun of them and all that. So that was like I feel like I was pushing through to like that was really like to fake it on although like my entire body was like really really stressed. And also like Taylor threw me some curveballs. He was like improvising some lines and I was like, what's going on? What's going on? So he was testing me there, but I think I passed the test. And then very, very quickly after that, they all really became like big brothers that make fun of me all the time. And it was like such a good environment all set all time.
Oh, that's so fantastic. It's
Yeah.
interesting that you met them in real life the same day your character meets them in real life.
Hmm.
Wow.
Hmm.
And I've heard of some
Hmm.
directors doing that, like especially back in the day. Like I don't know if the story is true, but it's when they talk about for Goonies, is that Steven Spielberg didn't show
Yeah.
the kids in the cast of the pirate ship until they see it at the
Oh,
end.
really?
So it's actually them seeing it for the first time. I don't know if
We
that's
do that.
I don't know if that's true or not, but that's the at least that's the rumor out there, and it very
Yeah.
well may be true. And I've
Yeah.
heard some directors doing that. I think there's Silence of the Lambs. I think Jodie Foster meets Anthony Hopkins. I think for the first time, or
That would be crazy. That would be crazy to
yeah,
do. Poor
like
thing.
probably. I know.
Yeah.
They might have met, but it wasn't like I think they. I'm not sure, but they essentially, but it wasn't like they knew each other. It wasn't like they prepped. It wasn't anything like that.
Yeah.
It was the first time when she walks in, I believe. Anyway, that's the.
Mm.
Regardless, that's what's out there.
Yeah.
And
I
that's
had seen
yeah,
them like briefly because I came on set to talk to Dave about my characters. I had seen them briefly, but actually talking to them, meeting them was the first time, yeah, on that day.
yeah, that's right. You never have guessed that you were nervous in that scene because you own it. It's so,
Thank you.
and you put them
Thank
back on their heels, just like you're
you.
the scene just like you're supposed to in this in the scene and it works so
Yeah.
well. It is awesome, and that was one of our favorite ones because that's one that you read for that you read.
Mhm.
So that was one that was we're so excited about and just to
Yeah.
introduce this character, and it was just awesome.
Thank you
That
so
is so
much.
cool. And then how did you get to know Tal? Did you so you felt like you already know her, you already knew
Mhm.
her before you got there? Did you get to know her more and more as you went along?
Yeah, for sure. So I felt, first of all, reading the audition scenes, I was like, I have a feeling about this girl. I don't know if that's what they want, but I imagine her so vividly. Whether it's because sides of her resemble sides of me, or it's because I have friends that act like that, or it's because, that whole attitude of and the way she was written and all of that, I felt like I knew what it was talked about. But then starting to film it, you feel it differently, and there's moments and beats that you go through, and that your empathy and your understanding of your character gets so much deeper than the ones you just like thought of or wrote about in my journal or anything like that. The way I went about it is like, first of all, I try to look for what is similar in us because very, very randomly our paths in different ways because she's an operator trying to save the world and I'm not, but we're very similar even if in the way that she's like the youngest of the group, wanting to prove herself but also stand her grounds. I felt like the shooting set was was her field. You know what I mean? It was my field, sorry, that stepping into that, we had a lot of similarities between what Tal was within that group and what I was within that group. You know what I mean? And so I like looked at the similarities and then I looked at where we're very, very different with within the circumstances that we're in. And that really helped me a lot. And that also was helped by the technical advisors, is like, what is an operator mindset? Mission comes first always. So I had a lot of things that I had to dial down on because I wouldn't react like that.
Your operational requirements are complete. Stand by. Do you copy?
Where's Haverford's team? I need to contact them.
Negative. Stand down.
But I have the communication portal between Haverford and the Shepherd.
Bring all viable intel with you. I repeat, your mission is complete. Prepare for extract. Do you copy?
Copy all.
Or I wouldn't continue the mission after I see that my mentor just died and now I'm gonna go see who the shepherd is. I don't give a freak about the shepherd. I need to mourn this, you know? Like, so a lot of like differences in actual mindset of mission first and what you see in front of you and priorities. And that are things that I discovered way more on set than I had prepared, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting. So like Tom had a lot on his shoulders because he's stepping into essentially a fan favorite character of Raife Hastings from the other books. Yeah, and it's been amazing. The response to him has been fantastic, like across the board.
Fantastic.
So
Yeah.
good, so good. Your character is different in that that it's not in the books. It's just it was created for this show. So you have a blank slate essentially to step into, and then Luke Hemsworth with Landry has like a morph of it because he's only in one of the books and he's a bad guy, and this kind of sets him up, like shows these things here and there, these touch points that make you think, oh, this guy's not quite right. Like he's not quite and you of course are the person who brings that out in him, one of the people that brings that out in him. And interestingly enough, I think that your character and Luke's character also are kind of have the most to work with, because he's just mentioned, I mean, he's just in one of the books, obviously not a fan favorite character because ends up being bad, but you guys I think have so much to work with, and you end up doing that in multiple scenes. Sometimes they're very brief, and one of my favorite ones is the wine pouring scene when you guys are at dinner. And I
A
love.
lot of people have asked me about
Oh,
that.
really? Have they really? It's so
Yeah.
fantastic. I love that scene, and I'm sure a lot of people. I don't know, might blink kind of and miss it, but it's so telling, and I love it. Like, I think does he ask you if he can pour you wine, or like just move it?
No, he goes for the point, and I believe it was our improv. We improv that.
Well, it's so
Like,
good.
we did it, and then what was it? Episode 4? It was episode 4. So the director on that was Liz. Yeah, it was Liz. Yeah. So Liz, we did that, and then Liz was like, "Oh, I like that. Do that." And so we kept doing that. But the first thing is like he goes to pour me wine. I was like, I don't want wine from this guy. And like it just ended up being like this guy, and I go and I pour myself wine,
And
and
you
then he
walk
ends up
over.
reacting to it. Yeah,
And
exactly.
on the table for yourself, and then you see his
Yeah.
face. You know, he has
Yeah,
this great
exactly.
look, and I love that scene. I didn't know that was improv.
Yeah, that was not planned. There was a couple that every time we were in a room that didn't make it the cut because I mean there's other stuff going on. But even for us to play with, every time we're in the room together, he was trying to get close to me, and I was trying to get away from him for it to build to that moment. But just in general, this man just that is, you know, I mean. Girls can relate to that person, you know, that you're like, just get away from me. And he would not stop every time. And it gave us a lot to work with, even in the physicality of how we moved, even if you don't see it on the show, you know? So that part you do see, but there's many parts that it was between us and that I moved and then he moved after me and then I walked away and it was just gave our character stuff to work with. And that was also nice to have that within the layers, like another relationship that's untalked about.
Yeah, but it's such a clear signal that you say no to him, and in front of everyone, it's a scene
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
everyone's at dinner, and then you walk
Yeah.
around and pour yourself, and then come, and you're the only character moving, I think, at that part, maybe the only one standing.
Yeah.
Walk around,
Yeah.
and it's so fantastic, so good, and then of course builds up to the scene where he really shows his true colors.
Make me.
Get out! Get out! The open menu!
All right, girlfriend.
I'm not your fucking girlfriend.
Oh boy, okay.
How is it filmed to film that one? Is that like like you just compartmentalize and just go like, okay, I'm just going to go through these motions, or is it
It's
uncomfortable? Is it actually uncomfortable?
I'll tell you what, to work with people like these, and here let's say the example of Luke, where you on the one side know he's such a good man with three daughters, such a good man, and on the other side, such a good actor. So that's a perfect blend to make me feel so comfortable and Tal feels so uncomfortable. And
Mhm.
that's like the blend you want for a scene like this is like you telling him you can go ahead and threaten me and you can go ahead and do all the things that would be the creepiest possible because you're so good at doing them. And he was so good at Landry. He's brilliant at Landry.
Let's try her on. Optics are the best part. Sig Romeo 3. Red dot light laser combo from Streamlight. Yeah, put that dot on something. And said you wanted to shoot straight. Let's try the action.
You need to leave.
You forgot to thank me.
Okay.
And on the other end, cut, and I just know Luke Hemsworth is in front of me and he's the best guy. So like I was more nervous about actually like doing it the scene right than I was uncomfortable to do it because I was excited to feel uncomfortable because I knew he would give me something that would be easy to work with, you
Mhm.
know? So again, like I told you about Mo, about Doris, like we also played that scene very differently than what I had read it.
Mhm.
And him just standing there after just I moved away because he was touching me, standing there and getting close. Nothing there was really planned, but like his presence was enough for me to react to it and be like, oh my goodness, this is becoming dangerous actually. And and yeah, so I wasn't my character was uncomfortable. I wasn't, and it's just a perfect
Oh wow.
blend to work with. And
Yeah.
that I have Luke Hemsworth, the
Yeah.
brilliant to work
He's
for,
so
yeah.
great. So
He's
great.
so
We were just texting last night actually. He's so fantastic
yeah.
in that role. And I watched the first four episodes of A True Believer.
You
And
did
yeah, so I'm doing
already?
my notes. Yeah, yeah. So we're doing one in post-production on it. So we finished in as you know, we
Oh,
finished in oh geez, all my things have blended into one long day. Gosh, was it August we finished or September? Anyway, regardless.
you
Uh,
finished shooting in September.
to September. So, because
Yeah,
I've been on the move since. I just got home a couple days ago. I've been on
yeah.
the move ever since then for book tour
Not
and all this
surprising.
other stuff, and it's been insanity.
Yeah.
But yeah, so post production on those, and saw the first four. Send my notes in. I send them to Dave, and then he takes them from everybody else, so we don't like see each other's notes on it, so that we're not like, oh yeah, Jared said this or Max said this. Oh, I
Yeah.
missed that too. Now I see it. It's like without any touch points with the other guys, we all send them to Dave separately, so he goes through and sees like, oh, all of these guys made this same thing, okay, or hey, just one
Mm.
of them,
Oh, okay. I didn't know
like
it
that
worked
sort
like
of
that.
yeah, like that sort of a thing, which is similar to what I did with the first book. I did sent my first book to a lot of people. And I told myself, okay, let's say I sent it to 20 people, and that it might have been 20. And I said, okay, if one person or two people say something about a chapter or something, I'm just going to discount it. But if like
Hmm.
it's five, six, seven, then I'll take
Yeah.
another look. So I think Dave does something similar with our notes, but it's so good. And Luke is once again so good. And now he has like a little bit of different haircut.
Oh,
He looks a little bit different physically. Like it's
yeah.
amazing what he's done. He's so great. He's so great.
Yeah. Even seeing him at the premiere because he was already shooting it, I was like, "Hi, Landry."
I know.
Oh, what's going on? It was like everyone actually. It's the first one I saw. Like it's the time I saw like the shaved head of Tom
Huh?
with a big
Yeah.
beard, and like I'm like, What's going on? What happened in True Believer that you guys are all so different?" It was nice, and then we got to shoot it together also, so that was fun.
Yeah, yeah. That
Yeah.
was it was interesting to see how they changed like the looks. I didn't really see the look change also
Yeah.
until it was already done, and I was like, oh wow, okay.
Mm.
And I knew that Luke's was coming. I didn't know about Tom, so
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. But it's so good. It works so well in there. I'm so fired up to get the get the next one. But yeah, your scene with Mo again, like that one is so good because it shows so much about both of your characters, not just one of your characters. And Dar, of course, just crushes
Yo,
the guy.
it was so amazing to work with him. First of all, I love him. We were all neighbors. Tom, and Dar were all like in the same building.
Nice.
So we really like all of us really got to connect off and on set, and the chemistry within the cast was really easy to make it believable that we're a group, a wolf pack
Yeah.
on set. And Dar is really great. And Dar had seen in The Covenant before. And I was like, man, it's gonna be intimidating to work with that man. Like he's so great. He's so good.
It was cold-blooded of the old men to send you.
Oh, it's a cold-blooded business. Maybe he sent me because he knew I would make the right call. What happens now?
Nothing. I ran a full check on the girl. I don't think she's a threat. Or that you are. Which is the only reason I didn't bring it to Eliza, yeah?
And like first day on set with him, I was like, no, it's not gonna be intimidating. It's just gonna make my life easy. Like that's what, first of all, because he's a great man, but also because he's a great actor. So it's just when you work with good people, it makes the job of the other actor in front of you easier, you know? And that's really what with that scene that happened.
Yeah,
It's
it's
good.
such a good scene.
This Q&A is brought to you by HUXWRX. Here we go. This is DLight23 from Instagram. DLight. I see what you did there. Well done. Let's see here. How did you develop the characters Tal and Eliza? What books do you recommend to better understand Israeli intelligence and or special operations? We developed those characters right here where I'm recording this. Well, one building over when Jared Shaw and David DiGilio. So David DiGilio is the showrunner for this, and Jared Shaw is the reason these shows exist. He's a dear friend and SEAL teammate of mine who gave The Terminalist to Chris Pratt. So without Jared, none of this exists on film. So they flew out here. We beamed Max Adams, Army Ranger, and number 2 in the writer's room in from his house. And we all got together and brainstormed Dark Wolf. And we came up together with Tal and Eliza right up there in my office in the other building there. And yeah, just came up with that, very collaborative in coming up with this story and the characters. And what books? I have so many books on Israeli special operations. I should probably do a reading list at some point and put that on the website. But there is a fairly recent book out by Samuel Katz called The Architect of Espionage about Meir Dagan. So check that one out. The Architect of Espionage by Samuel Katz, who's been a guest on the podcast before.
And then we get to your fight scene. So, I mean, I think it's the best fight scene in the whole show. It's the one that I think of it. I just think of, you getting thrown into that fridge.
Yeah.
But did you start training for that? Like you read it, and then do you start talking to the stunt guys about it in advance? Because you were still on set for a couple months.
More months. A
Yeah.
couple more months. I read it. It was April. We shot it. It was end of June. So I had a buildup of like, oh, okay, I know this is coming. I know this is coming, and I know this is the thing I'm the most excited for out of everything. So I know it's important for me, and I know that it's important for my character. And that's where got me really nervous. I was like, this is the pivoting point for her. This is the moment where Tal becomes Tal. And there's going to be before and after that moment. So it was so important for me to get it right. So I kept like being I was a little bit in my head about it for that time, but I was also concentrating on whatever was happening right now, the scenes that I had to do in those 2 months. But I would talk to Tom. So Tom Williams, the stunt coordinator, was the one who choreographed it and was the one who like took me through the whole thing. So I would talk about him if I had like something that I was worried about. I was like, oh, how are we gonna do that? Oh, interesting. Oh, actually, sorry, the the fight scene changed. The choreography for it changed as we were going. It was supposed to be with the toilet, and I throw a toilet. It was supposed to be like a little more inspired by the fight scene in True Romance, I believe. Like
Yeah.
there's a thing
That's a,
with the toilet scene.
okay.
And it changed a bit. So I was discussing with Tom, but that's not what was happening. And you know how it is. Like there's so many things happening. So if it's not what's happening right now, it's not what's important right now. You know what I mean? It's like each day, whatever happened within the day. So we put it aside for a little bit, and then we came closer to the moment of shooting, and we hadn't found who would be playing Klaus. And so Tom had started rehearsing with me. So I get warmed up in the choreography so I can forget about the choreography, forget about everything and just be in the moment. We had started to work together, but then I had to do it with I think two different guys, and they were thinking about casting a stuntman because there was a lot of stunts to be done. But then they were like, oh, actually we need an actor for this. And Tom had been a stunt double for Ethan Suplee. And then they got to have Ethan Suplee with us. And I was like, am I winning the jackpot? Like, what's going on?
So good.
Like, do I get to have this cast, do the scene of my dreams with Ethan? What's
So
going
good.
on?
He's so good. And he's in such
Yeah,
good shape now. It's insane
I
how
know,
strong
I
this
know,
guy
I
is.
know.
Such great shape he's in. He is just
Yeah,
made one a great actor, and then I mean, he takes that role. Like if you didn't know that didn't have an accent, wasn't like
yeah.
he's embodied it. Is so,
No, he's so
and he's
good.
so
And
creepy with those little figurines and stuff.
so creepy. He did the creepy part so well.
And the
And yeah,
background
he
of
really did.
the background of that set. So now I know to look. Like now I know, budgets and stuff like that and production value. So now I see something and I look to the set behind the actors, and it gives me a little sense of the budget and production value that's invested in said production, whatever I'm watching.
Yeah,
And I say like, okay, let's see if I see that there's not much in the background, I'm like, okay, interesting. Let's see what these actors can do and what the writers can do to get past any of that background stuff that just wasn't in the budget.
yeah.
I look at it kind of with that eye now, but our backgrounds are pretty legit. And that one in particular, so much went into that. And if people pause and like zoom in, which I'm
I
sure
was
you
gonna say,
do.
I don't know if people understand the details of that apartment because so I started rehearsing, and so we went into the apartment for Tom to show me the rehearsal we did in the gym, where it would be. So I saw the apartment and I looked at every single thing from the pictures on the wall to what kind of food he left there, rotting for days on days. The picture were pictures of dead animals on a road. Like the details were so impressive. And it's just like, I feel like whether you know or you see or
Mm.
not, it just makes the scene breathe differently when
One
all these details like exist, you know?
Yeah, I think people can sense it, even though you don't really look for it.
Exactly, exactly.
Subliminally, as a viewer, you sense that, and it elevates the entire production, whether you know it or not, as a viewer.
Yeah.
But so were you training Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, or were you specifically training for this scene? Were you doing both? What was the lead
Um,
to that day?
we were going through the beats, like moment after moment, choreography, like each choreography at a time. But we did have a lot of jujitsu moves, because that's where she has a chance of beating him, even though not fully, but it's with technique and not strength. Basically, that's like what the whole scene was about, is how she's gonna survive, not by her strength, but by her like intelligence and survival skills and resilience. And so that's where the jujitsu came. And it's the first time I got introduced to even like the concept of it. And it was so cool. Because very quickly I was like, I think I can do this. And then you get addicted to the idea of like being maybe able to beat a bigger man. You know what I mean? Like doing a right guillotine or doing a good armbar. Um, and so it was like the specific movement that I had to learn for the choreography that I learned. I didn't just learn jujitsu as a whole, and then the choreography was like specifically, and we had to like to really take our time with it for jiu-jitsu fans to not go like, oh, that's not done well. Like, so we had to like take our time. I remember I couldn't get my legs quite wrapped up around his arm, and so like also like think on my stunt double he'll help me with that because it's so important to have like lock, and then you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, credit to my stunt double you did that did such an amazing job on this also.
She was awesome. Yeah, she gets tossed into that fridge. Like that's legit. And I went over there and looked at the fridge. Like there maybe there was a tiny bit of padding on there, but
It was a tiny bit of padding,
not
but
much.
it doesn't matter. It hurts. It hurts.
And that was a full on swing. Like that was
Yeah.
legit that hit there.
I discovered by that scene because you see things on shows and movies and you're like, oh, it's probably fake. It's fine. It's fake. But with that scene, I was like, yes, it's fake, but also stunt people, so much respect for them because they really, the way they do it, and that's what it was, that's how they did it for the scene is like they look at each other and they go, we're gonna go once, but we're gonna go. And so he tosses her on the fridge once, but they went for it. So it doesn't mean that you go on like completely unhurt. No, you go for it. You actually like risk your body for the sake of that. And it's so impressive to watch. It's so impressive to watch. And I thank them so much because they're the one making us look badass, you know?
Yeah, that scene was crazy to just watch because knowing you know, I'm watching it and then I think I saw maybe a video first of it or so. Anyway, regardless, but I'm like, you know, because you're worried.
Yeah.
I'm like worried about
Yeah.
you know, and because I know you, and I'm like, oh my gosh. But at the
Yeah.
same time, you're like, oh my gosh, the scene is so good. It is
Yeah.
it's wild. And everybody just yeah went all in on that one. And for us, you know, this whole the show, the universe really is all about this bedrock foundation of authenticity. And so for us, this scene was one of the most important when it comes to that. And I love that, well, how huge Ethan is and how you get those shots off. And that you've been practicing it in front of the mirror. So it's not like the first time you're doing it, like you've done it, but now it's for real. Boom, boom. And you get those
Yeah.
shots in this gigantic person who essentially absorbs them and continues this fight, but you've got those shots in him already. And then
Yeah.
so if people are actually watching it and want to pick things apart, which of course everyone can do these days because
Of course.
that you know online, which
Yeah.
they couldn't do 30 years ago, they could just tell their spouse who would just roll their eyes at them. But now they can like fine. But that was why it's so important to show you, I think, doing that in the mirror early
Yeah,
on.
because how that's also how she got him, because otherwise it would have literally been impossible to
See,
like survive the fight.
oh, I mean, what
Yeah.
that guy's mitts. I mean, oh my gosh, Ethan's mitts.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, and the character that he plays is such a creepoid. Oh, but but it was such a great fight scene. But I love that we got those shots off, and then the way you end it, awesome. Also with the shot, but then before that, the face on fire type of a thing, like making you see your surroundings.
That's where, you know, like she's head first, not strength first. She sees this opportunity, like that's where you see Tal like existing in her intelligence and her wit and her like quickness and all that. So that's also cool how that's how she survives. Still, her brain is how she survives and
Yeah.
her resilience. So that's cool, yeah.
Yeah, of all those things coming together, the training that you're doing ahead of time, and then using your wits and your intellect in the fight scene as well, and in getting those couple shots into this huge guy at first to start this thing off because he's such a monster.
Yeah.
And then the fight scene itself. Was it a 2 day? I forget, was it 2 days? How long did we have to do that?
It was 2 long days. It was 2 very intense days. Very, very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was amazing. What else stands out to you about that scene? Like I love you
That's
getting in there and I love your checking for things. And then when you see and what is it? What does the camera end up being in? When you see it, it's something creepy. like a
The
stand,
what? The what? What'd you say?
the camera when you find it on the mantle. It's
Oh,
something creepy.
like this doll with
Yeah,
red eyes or
it's in something creepy.
something.
No.
So creepy. There's so many creepy things about it. And also the way he crawls on her at the end, actually, that was the one of the most intense part because we filmed everything chronologically, which they don't always do that, but that was really helpful for my character to like understand where she was standing and the like tiredness and survival. And so by the time we get to the end and she throws the thing on him and then falls on the floor and then he starts crawling on her. And there's something about this big, huge guy crawling on this little thing, little, I'm not a little thing, but compared to him, I am a little thing. And that's also something that was so creepy. And and he like chokes her and goes, "Go to sleep." That like was like, I realized really almost like just watching it. And that was, yeah, that was a moment where on that one I was like, I had to pull through to make it to finish the shooting the scene. Because by that time it was like second day, end of second day, I was tired and my back was like you get exhausted by these because no matter how much like you know the stunt doubles does it all, it was my dream scene. So I wanted to do the most, you know, because where I can do is where you can see my face, and it's not only about seeing my face, it's about seeing Tal's face and her reaction and her survival instincts. And this is where these kind of scenes are getting more interested if you just get a peek of your characters, what your character is going through. Um, so I wanted to do the most that was possible insurance wise, you know.
Right.
But so you get really exhausted by the time you finish those 2 days. It was quite a thing
Yeah,
for
well,
sure.
it paid off. It's so good. And then I love how you leave also, like the way you leave, like that room and stuff like that is so great. You know, it's not like you just, you kill this guy and then you're like, off you go. It's
No, yeah,
so great. Like no one could have done that better. It's so,
it
so
took,
powerful the way you
yeah.
that scene as well. So, so cool.
This Q&A is brought to you by Staccato. Kohler27 from Instagram. How did you discover the niche gear for the character of Raife? I'm thinking particularly of the Courtney boots. That is from spending time in Africa and getting out there on the hunt. And that's what I wear when I go to Africa. I like to wear things and use rifles that kind of harken to an older time, a different age. When I went to do the research for True Believer let's see, late September, early October of 2016, after I'd gotten out of the military, before I even had a publishing deal, I went over there and did this research in Mozambique because I knew it was going to be such an important part of the True Believer story. So I'm taking pictures of everything and feeling the rocks and the dirt and talking to the professional hunters and the trackers. And I've been over multiple times since and been over a couple times before that. But Courtney boots were on my radar from my first trip. I got them from my first hunting trip to Africa when I was still in the SEAL teams. So yeah, those were on the radar, and a lot of the stuff that Raife uses are things that I discovered in Africa from the trackers and the hunters, professional hunters over there.
And then when you pull that knife on the lady in the train, like that every time I see it, I've seen it so many times. Like every time I see that, I'm like, like it's so
Yeah,
fast.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
even, that was great. What was it like to do that one?
It was the first time, I mean, it's the first time you see her since the fight scene. So there was something about both her being so alarmed at all time that because she's she's like literally I was all bruised. So I cannot imagine what she was, you know? So being like so sensitive. So you would touch her, she would like pull a knife on you, obviously. And so to have the alertness of that, but also like the scare. Like this is she understands for the first time the actual danger of it. That's what was that scene was about. Is the dark side, dark wolf, the dark side that they all touched. The way I saw from my character is she's the only one who's never been touched by it. Not fully. Yes, she's seen, but very much behind the scene, behind the computer. And that scene, that's what it was pivotal. It's the first time when she understand the actual human cost, both personal and not only personal, because about a mentor, but like the actual human cost of it. And I think that's why like her whole idea and her whole senses like shift from that point. Because you're like, oh, this is not a game. Because part of it was a game for her. She was very good at the computer game. She was very good at doing everything that she was asked until she got there and she's like, okay, shit's real. And that's why it was like this whole section, episode 5 and 6, personally for my character, I felt like was the pivoting point into the operator that she's gonna be now.
Yeah, yeah. And the whole show doesn't work without your character connecting. Like the whole ending
Yeah.
doesn't work. Nothing works without you.
Yeah.
So you are the pivotal character in all of this. It's fantastic. And I love at the one of your last scenes, maybe it's your last scene, but around the table where you guys all meet back up in the last
Mhm.
episode, and you have it's that meal. We filmed it in Budapest.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
interesting. It's my first time really seeing like a full meal and having like the continuity and like glass food
Really?
and all that stuff. Like that was wild. Or maybe it's the first time that I really noticed it with
Yeah, you
continuity.
have to remember what you eat to not overeat because then you have to do the same action over and over again.
Uh,
And then it's
that was
disgusting.
wild. I have a lot of like dinner scenes in my books and stuff like that, or meal scenes for
Yeah.
whatever reason, and go through all the wine and everything. But that
Yeah.
was my first time noticing it. But you in that scene, like you like emerge as a real leader. Like you see you like for whatever reason when I watch that scene now, I see like yeah, Ben is the leader of this group, but you stand out as the leader in that scene. You know, like because you have been pivotal to all of it. Nothing works without you. And
Mhm.
everyone knows that at the table, and it's so good.
Everything you need to finish this.
I think that's the moment where you see her kind of step into the shoes of her mentor for the first time a little bit. And that's why she looks a little bit more adult. She looks more like her. And yes, granted, only a few months have passed. But you know, when something so major happens, a few months can make you older very fast. You know what I mean? It's make you older, wiser, more leader, more on the front. Like they have been connecting the dots together. She lost what was so precious in her personal life and in her professional life. And I think it's like that's what is happening at that table is her stepping into those shoes for the first time. And hopefully we'll get to see a little bit more of that later. But it's yeah. I think from the moment she discovers she lost her, everything will be in memory of her.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah,
Mhm.
so that was intentional on your part to play it that way.
Yeah, it was intentional to step into her shoes, and it's still, and it's gonna be, we see Tal for a little bit. I don't know if is it a spoiler?
I don't know if it is or not. We might be for that.
I think people know. I think
Okay.
because
Yeah,
yeah, I
yeah.
think people know. We see a little bit of Tal in True Believer.
I think we should see a lot more of Tall, by the way.
I'm down. You just tell me I'm here.
But then I think there's a Tall Mo series, and I'm gonna be pushing for that. You know, I think
I'm
there's
down. I think Mo would also be down.
oh yeah,
If we could just have fun together and just
uh,
play, I think we would be down. Yeah,
I
for
think
sure.
so. I think there's a whole thing there because in the books there was a whole thing with Mo. I thought Mo was going to go forward and be a part of every book going forward, and he is in one or two, but just as a touch point to help move things along. Maybe it's just one, but anyway, regardless, because it has to be very natural. It can't Nothing can be
Yeah.
forced in the books. It all has to be very natural how I write them without anything forced in there. But I think there's a whole backstory and like kind of a missing piece because I just move off on like the James Reese focus side of it. But there's a whole thing like what happened to Mo, and now
Yeah.
where's Tal going? So there's these two things right there that I think
That
come
can be put
together
together.
perfectly.
Yeah.
I think we could go between Budapest, which can double for lots of places in Europe, and Morocco, which can double for a lot of places in the Middle East and
Oh,
Africa.
that would be so cool. I mean, obviously, I have interest in wanting this because I just want to work with you guys and be in the shoes of Tal again and again and work with Dar. But in general, I'm like, this duo has to be explored, can be explored so much more, you know? Whether it's the backstories, whether it's where it goes from here, and yeah, it's a cool idea. Yeah, good idea.
I like you, Mo. have a good soul. I feel like I can trust you.
And the gun in the waistband? Is that trust as well?
Good night, Mo.
I think there's so much there. I hope we get to do that. And for me, like one of the best things about this whole thing has been meeting you and then like seeing where you can go from here. Like I'm so excited for that. Like this because you're so good in this, and I know people are watching and saying, "Hey, who is this person? How do we get her in our thing next?" Like type of a deal. So maybe without giving anything away, like what's next on your agenda? Like what's coming down the pike for you? Hopefully, it's more in this universe. I would love that.
Hopefully, it's for sure.
I want
Hopefully,
to
it's
see
more
like I
in
want to
this
see you
universe.
just like take off because so
I'm
good,
down to see me take off too.
so
From your
good.
mouth to God, honestly. I mean, we're still in the transitioning space of like people have seen the show, people that are in the business are starting to see the show, like getting more auditions, getting more calls and stuff like that. But it's still where we don't know exactly where it's heading, and also that we have to be smart about. I say we because now I have a team, which is something I didn't have. It's a whole thing, but about where it's heading and what's the direction that we want to take things. But for now, nothing's concrete yet. Everything is on the thought process of it. But yeah, hopefully very soon I'll know more and on to the next job. And honestly, and again, I've said it, it's not only because you're here. I've said in another interview, I'm not done with this universe at all. I'm not done with what can be done with Tal. I'm not done with working with you guys. I'm just not like I want to do more of that for sure. No matter where, like I would love to do more of that. I'd love to do something completely different also, but it's not shoes that I'm willing to put aside,
Yeah.
let's say, for now. Not yet.
So great. And then before we go, what was it like to be at the premiere? And then we got to go to the military base and fly around and do all that stuff and do all the press. So it was like premiere, I think, press, and then our like military day after that, I think was how it.
Listen, it was, I mean, you were there. You know how much, first of all, it was so much fun. Just all had so much fun. We had a lot of fun, very little sleep. We talked a lot, whether it's in press or between each other, because we had like 3 days to catch up and we haven't seen each other in a long time. So everyone was trying to like catch up the most. But it's, I think, the week of my life where I the most wanted to sit my 8-year-old on a chair and be like, listen, what's gonna happen? You sit down and listen because stuff are gonna be exciting. And it's like obviously shooting this was for me the most exciting, but something about having it come out and talk about it makes it so much more real. So it makes the shooting process that was a year prior like become alive all of a sudden. You talk about a project you were part of, and so that week was like so intense and like emotions and excitement and yeah, I hope we get to experience that like just a bunch more times because it's very, very special to do the work we do
Yeah, it's
and with these
fantastic.
kind of people.
You reminded me of something I heard Matthew McConaughey say, and I might be off a little bit, but I think he said something along the lines of the only two people you have to impress in life is your 8-year-old self and your 80-year-old self, which is,
Yeah, I heard
I might
that. I
be
think
off.
I
I might
heard
be off
that.
a little bit there,
You know,
but
I think I heard
uh,
something along those lines. For sure, for sure. And yeah, for that part, my 8-year-old said was like, thank you, thank you. But actually, it's me thanking her because she was so much more like believing in herself and driven that, you grow up a bit like Tal. Like you grow up and you lose, like things happen in life and you get a little bit less naive and maybe you believe a little less. But when you're a kid, everything is just so pure, you
yeah.
know? So me as an 8-year-old watching Ilias or 24, I was like, I can do that for sure. I can do that. Like being so sure. And so I'm thanking her actually. This is me saying her thank you for sure.
Oh, that's fantastic. I guess that's similar with me, my 7-year-old self wanting to be a SEAL and my 10-year-old, 11-year-old self wanting to be an author. Like impressive.
Yeah. Here
Yeah,
you go.
very similar. Yeah,
Thank
very
you to them
similar.
for sure also.
Amazing,
Yeah.
amazing. And one thing from the premiere, I think I told you this before, but my agent has been to hundreds of these premiere party, after party type things. And she was there looking around and she was like, wow, you guys genuinely love to be with each other. Like this
We
is so
do.
different than other ones that I've been to where people just kind of show up, do their thing, and then get out of there as soon as they can.
Yeah.
Like everyone is staying until like shutting it down. Like you're shutting this down with Chris Pratt and Tom and everybody. Like
Yeah.
you guys are all want to just talk to each other, like and hang out and
Like
this is
it's
not
actually like yeah, I don't know what's usual, but it was like that also, even like on set, we would spend our weekends together. And I feel like usually for stuff like that, you want to be like, okay, I don't want to see you. I don't want to hear about you. We'll see you on Monday. But like we would go karting and paddle and have dinners and with everyone, not only the cast members, like a bunch of the crew members also. And it was just let's say like I thought that was normal because I love people and a bunch of people on set were like, Shiraz, don't get used to this.
people tell me
Like
all
it's
the
not like
time.
that every
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
And
People
I'm
tell
like, well, I want to get used to this because I think this is like part of what it should be like. Because when you do that, when you create chemistry and relationships and actual like caring for the people you work with, I think you're better at what you do, and you're
yeah.
better actor, better like team member. It's a teamwork. I feel like we're all part of like a sports team.
Yeah, totally,
Yeah,
totally. And it's one of the things that we do when we talk to people for the first time and kind of test the waters with them. It's like,
yeah.
is the person going to add value not just in front of the camera, but
Hmm.
behind it, off
Hmm.
camera as well.
Yeah,
Because someone that's going to ruin it for everybody on set for whatever reason. We get someone who's going to be a part of this team and be positive
yeah,
and have everybody raise their game.
yeah,
So that's like one of the main things that we look for when we're interviewing people to come join the family.
yeah.
And I want to thank you so much for saying yes to this role, for embracing it, for making Tala your own. I mean, you did it. No one else could have done this better. So thank you so much for that. And
Thank you.
so excited to see where you go from here.
Thank you so much. Thank you for creating her. She really holds a very, very dear place in my heart. Whether we continue with her or not, there's these like characters that even when you get onto different roles, you just kind of keep and you're like, oh. And so, yeah, thank you for creating her because she's very, very dear to me. And
Oh,
this whole show and the cast and everything, it was very special. Thank you.
Oh, amazing, amazing. Well, thank you, and I appreciate you taking the time today. And yeah, hopefully I'll see you soon. We've got to continue. There it is. Nice.
Represent.
I love it. I love it. But thanks for everything. Hopefully I'll see you before too long.
Yes, hopefully. Good catching up. Thank you so much.
You take care. Talk soon. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to the Dark Wolf Season 1 podcast. If you like this video, check out The Fourth Option, my upcoming novel, May 12th, coming in hot, hardcover ebook and audiobook. Find the trailer here and the author insight video here.